You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse for week 3 of the regular season. I'm so glad we don't have to say off season anymore. We've had some huge games, teams that have surprised us, some teams who have disappointed us at this point of the year, even though it's still very early on, anything can happen. This week, I've got Cody like always, but I've also got Jordan back on the show. Jameson sitting out this week. He's picking the baby over us. That's just so arrogant of him to do. No, I'm just kidding. But no, guys, I'm glad to have you back on the show again. What's going on?
I'm good. Jordan?
What's up? How is everybody?
Doing good. Doing good.
Good.
Doing real good.
Real good.
Oh man. But no, so we're gonna kind of go kind of a little bit like last week. We're gonna cover some news and notes from around the LCC and the NFL. We're gonna do some hot takes or some questions that are gonna set up some hot takes. I'm pretty sure. We're not really gonna debate them as much, like our answers and everything. We're just kind of run through it so that way we can get to our game of the week and do a very brief breakdown of the other matchups and do our fantasy pick'ems. We didn't get a volunteer for our celebrity guest, by the way, unfortunately. So. Screw you guys. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, we'd love to have someone do that with us. Either we can record your voice before and that we don't even have to, be on late at night with us and we can just plug it in. Or if you want to be on there live for that part, that's totally cool too. But yeah, let's kick it off with some news and notes.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to start off with probably one of the bigger headlines. There's only 4 undefeated teams remaining after week 2, and again, it's week 2, right? So the difference between being 2-0, 1-0, there are 1-1. Sorry, it's like nothing at all, really. But anyways, the 4 teams we got BP. That's Beg for G-Reg. Myself, at the moment, barring any stat changes in the morning, and by the time you're listening to this, you'll probably know for the majority of you whether or not I won or lost that game against my dad. Jameson, who give me more, and then Big Oss, who is Slapdicks, are the only 4 undefeated teams remaining at the moment. 2 of them, I feel like we caught a lot of flack throughout the off season from our show, at least the podcast. But yeah, so those are the 4 teams. Other news, we've got Eastside Brawlers and Steel Curtain still lead in NFL Pick'ems. They have 25 correct so far. Eastside Brawlers and Detroit Bad Boys are tied in LCC Pick'ems with 14 correct. And again, there's only 12 matchups each week, so they're a little over 500 for their accuracy at the moment. There were 3 pretty big trades within just a couple of days each other throughout the whole week 2 ordeal. But we had Burrow's Body Count gave up Roquan Smith to Mr. 300 for Marquise Brown and Miles Jack. We had Hunter of Champions give up a 3rd round pick and a 7th round pick for an 8th round pick. Nate, Gary, and Terrell Edmonds from Mafali. That's Mufasa and Moneymakers. Then the last trade, I think it was the first trade of last week. It was Jordan and Cody. Jordan gave up Marcus May for Bradley Chubb. Let us know, by the way, who you guys think won and lost these trades, if anyone even lost. Maybe they were just like super even, and that's why there weren't really any counter offers. I know for me, that's a lot of times why I don't do it, or I'm not interested in either of the guys that are getting traded around. Couple injuries. We're not going to go through all of them because it would literally take us a whole nother show to break that down. But just some of the bigger ones are CMC is out for at least 3 weeks. He's on IR. And Tyrod Taylor, who's had his lung punctured by the team doctor. I just don't even know how that's possible. Like, I can't even, I'm lost. I don't even know. But Devontae Freeman is now rostered by the New York Giants and by the Detroit Bad Boys in the LCC. Shout out to Billy for making that move well before he ever signed with the team. So, good foresight there. Any thoughts on the news from around the league, guys?
Man, just a rough week. Ton of injuries. We only touched on probably like 3 of them, but I
Yeah,
feel like half the NFL got injured Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah, and I said this off the show, but like I was listening to a podcast, like a doctor on it, and she was just like, it's kind of normal in terms of how people ramp up because normally the second week of preseason you see a lot of like high level like injuries. So take a just kind of look at it a little bit, and going into week 3, it should kind of like level off a little bit with these what is it, deep tissue injuries that are happening. And hopefully that's the case. And hopefully it's just, kind of a normal thing. And it's not going to be something that's the injuries aren't going to be normalized. Hopefully week 2 was the spike and then now it's going to level off.
This was literally every fantasy owner in the world who had CMC Monday morning when they found out the news.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
That was
My reaction would have been
but yeah, so
Mike Davis season in Carolina.
I know. Oh man, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of me hyping up Mike Davis, but honestly, God, like I'm telling you, he's going to be utilized differently. So if anyone is going to try to compare CMC and Mike Davis on any level, whether it's talent, running styles, it's night and day. It's like trying to compare, and not that Mike Davis is as good as this guy, but it's like comparing Jonathan Stewart to D'Angelo Williams. Their play was totally different in Carolina. One was going to run it down your throat, and the other one was going to dance around you. It's just that obviously Mike Davis, again, isn't Jonathan Stewart. I'm not going to try to compare those two athletes, but you get the picture. One's more of a power running back. The other one's more finesse. But let's move on to our hot takes, guys. Some of our questions that are going to bring up some hot takes, I feel like. And some of them are going to be controversial. Some of the questions are a little controversial, too. We got 4 of them here. We're going to kick it off with this. And either of you can go first. Doesn't matter. But will we see any undefeated teams miss the playoffs? And if so, who? And just as a reminder, the undefeated teams beg for G-Rag, Roebuck Leprechauns at the moment, or it could be Eastside Brawlers. Give Me More and Slapdicks.
I mean, at the end of the day, like if I had to pick one, man, I mean, I like BP right now in terms of where he's at in his division. If anybody can catch him in terms of in his division, I like Billy. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go in my own division, and I face him this week as well, so I'm going to talk a little trash right here. But I think there's a lot of strong rosters behind him. Like Cameron obviously is 2-0, but he's got a very strong roster, and he's kind of underperformed.
You mean 0-2?
Huh?
You mean 0-2 for Cameron? You said 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
He wishes he's 2-0.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, granted, I hope Cameron loses every game, but like, you still got a strong roster. You could still like make a comeback. It's only we're going into week 3. But I think what's going to come back and hurt Austin is the fact that he's really trying to find a running back, and I don't think his best running back's Mark Ingram, and I just don't think he's going to get enough like looks with every running back that had, because Gus Edwards was even getting a lot of looks that last game, and I can only see Dobbins getting more as the season goes along. I mean, and I don't think Calvin Ridley's going to keep up the pace that he's been going on. I think he's gotten quite lucky with some of them. Obviously, Russell's going to continue to do Russell things, and I like Levante David. He's still got a nice team, and I'm not saying he's going to miss playoffs, but like if I had to pick one, it would be him just based off of the people in his division, and he's kind of got some overperformers in certain areas.
Okay. Jordan, who would be your team that you would pick?
The 2-0 team that I would think most likely missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to make it a real hot take and go ahead and say it's yourself, mister.
Oh, yeah. No. I can totally see that.
That's mainly just not saying your roster's not good. I just feel like overall we have a fairly strong division. Maybe that's me upping my team a little bit too much than I should, but I could see a few teams coming up and catching you and erasing that 2-0 start.
I agree. I mean, look at it this way. Vegetarians at Storm has, at the moment, the number 2 fantasy quarterback in the league, Kareem Hunt, who's actually doing pretty good, all things considered. He's got Mike Evans. I mean, his team's loaded. Eastside Brawler's my dad. Miles Sanders just put on a clinic in week 2 after coming back from an injury, and his team's pretty stacked. Your team, Jordan, is pretty good too. Even though you lost a quarterback, I didn't feel like he was so fundamental to your offense that losing him is going to change anything. Honestly, I think you can stream guys who are just as good. So I don't even think you're going to take a hit with that. And you're pretty loaded at running back and receiver too. So I would pick myself too. Actually, that was the team I was going to pick. I just think our division is going to be so tough. I wouldn't be surprised if multiple teams are like, they're literally 500 and within their division play by the end of the season.
Yeah, totally.
Next question. Who has the best chance to go undefeated?
I'll lead this one off, and I'll go ahead and say I'll ride with Jameson.
Okay.
He's going to have very consistent play at quarterback. I think me and Cody beat the Kyler for MVP drum all off season. And he's rolling with him. I really like Jameson's defense. I think he found especially some young studs and Patrick Queen and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I could really see his team getting hot and him riding it out. Plus, he's got that baby look.
He's got that baby luck. That's right. Okay. Cody, what about you?
I mean, for me, it's tough because it's either going to be Jameson or it's going to be Big for G-Reg. Which, I mean, I like Big for G-Reg's overall team maybe a little bit better. But I think that Jameson has the weaker division. So, I don't know. Plus, I also think there's some guys on Jameson's team that aren't quite hitting on all cylinders just quite yet. We were talking about off the podcast. Joe Mixon is a notoriously slow starter, and he's already 2-0 with Joe Mixon being his number 1 back, and he's only going to get better. And the same thing goes for Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has started off extremely slow this year so far, and I think he's only going to get better. So, I mean, and like Jordan said, he's got a really good young defense. So I like Jameson as well. But if we're talking about overall team and just whose team I like Beg for G-Reg's team just a little bit better than everybody else's that's undefeated. But that's just me.
Okay. I'm kind of like you. I was torn between Jameson's team, Give Me More, and BP's team, Beg for G-Reg. I'm going to go with Jameson, though, because his division is weaker. I mean, BP's in the same division as Billy, and that's Detroit Bad Boys. Always a good team, and it's still a good team, even though he's lost CMC for the next couple weeks, and he really doesn't have a very stable running back situation at the moment. I just think that by the time he plays him again, I don't know if he can beat him twice. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go with Jameson with that.
And I even like Peyton in the Billy's division. I think Peyton's got a really good team as well.
Yeah. So we saw 3 trades again in week 1. Is the one player pool doing what it was meant to do, which was to kind of enhance trading, enhance different moves people can make, and so forth?
It's definitely enhanced trading. I mean, we've had probably 5 or 6 trades already in the first 3 weeks. I mean,
at least, and we had more trades in the off season.
Record for a season.
Yeah, I think we're gonna shatter that record. I don't know what it is. I have to go look.
Yeah, we'd have to go and look at that, but
yeah,
it's gonna go over it
for sure.
Yeah, I think what helps is there's it's really easy to match in terms of every team has their weakness and every team has their strength, and it's really if you can find the right dance partner, you could really help somebody and help yourself at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty interesting to see how many different people are trading, and even people who don't even know each other in real life. It's traditionally you kind of see some people have trade partners, almost guys who they habitually will hit up with trades just because they trust them and stuff. They know they're not going to rip them off. Last question here, and then we'll move on to our game of the week. Who's the 2020 fantasy QB of the year. So right now, the top 5, just so you know, number 1 is Josh Allen, number 2 is Cam Newton, number 3 is Russell Wilson, number 4 is Dak Prescott, number 5 is Kyler Murray. And again, this is week 2, so it's very possible none of these guys finish top 5. I would say at least one of them or 2 of them do, though.
If you're talking about just through week 2, I would definitely have to go Josh Allen. He looks phenomenal in the first 2 weeks. But if we're talking about if I had to pick a guy for the whole entire year, and like Jordan just said and mentioned a little bit earlier, Kyler Murray has been my guy from the beginning in terms of who I thought was going to win like the MVP, and I thought was going to have a killer year. Just the fact that like what he can do with his feet, the weapons he has at receiver, there's nobody that has the weapons and the skill set that he's got.
Yeah, I agree. I think actually Kyler is probably my pick. Even though he's like number 5 on this list at the moment, I think he's going to end up being number 1 by the end of this.
Agreed.
Well, just so I don't pick the same person, I guess I'll go
Russell, just because I just think he's the best quarterback in real life.
Okay.
I really like Kyler's chances, but I'll go Russell just for argument's sake.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, he's got DK Metcalf, and I've been hyping up DK since he first entered the NFL, so I'll take that. All right, so let's move on to our game of the week. Let me see if I got a sound drop for this real quick. Here we go. All right, so our game of the week is Abusement Park. That's Peyton's team versus Beg for G-Reg. That's BP. BP's 2-0. Abusement Park's 1-1. You got Josh Allen versus Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, among some other big names. This is a game. We don't really have a lot of history between these two teams because BP just joined the league last season. Peyton's been in the league since 2017. He has a total win-loss ratio of 30. It's like 38%. He's won like 38 or 39% of his games in his career. So last season he almost finished 500 at 5-7. Whereas Beg for G-Reg, let me see if I can find this real quick. Last season, which was his rookie season, he went 6-6, won his division, made the playoffs, but lost his first playoff game against Billy. 253 to 318 in a smackdown. So obviously not a lot of history. I don't even think they've ever played each other. No, they haven't. They haven't played each other. So this will be interesting. What are the things you guys are looking for in this matchup?
Well, I guess first, does Josh Allen keep putting up Josh Allen numbers and like he did the first 2 weeks? Because if he does, that puts Abusement Park in a heck of a start.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Josh Allen, he's projected 38 points this week. Ryan Tannehill is projected 30. I think that's a little low for Ryan Tannehill. And I honestly could see Josh Allen going past 38. I mean, I wouldn't surprise if he's got like 45.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I definitely like Josh Allen better than Tannehill. Like that's
Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. I think everyone's kind of leaning Josh Allen's going to be the better option there. He's going to get more points. Now, the running back position, this is where it gets a little interesting. You've got Dalvin Cook, traditionally a stud running back, versus Kenyon Drake, someone who's kind of new to the scene in Arizona. He was projected to be a really good RB1 for a lot of people. Some people like a borderline RB1, RB2, if you're in like a 12-team league, that type of deal. But either way, I think both those guys have a very high ceiling and a relatively safe floor too.
Yeah, I mean, this week or overall specifically, I like Dalvin better as a back, but I really don't like his matchup against Tennessee, man. Especially after seeing how bad Kirk Cousins looked.
Yeah.
Tennessee's going to put 8-9 in the box against Dalvin. and make them throw it again. And I just don't like that. So I definitely like the chances of Drake getting like a nice PPR day out of Kyler running around on Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my exact thoughts. Like I like Cook overall, but for this week, if we're talking about and we include all matchups, like Drake's got a way better matchup than Cook does. I mean, Cook can always, Cook's one of those guys that can always have a good day, no matter who he's playing against. But I do like Tennessee's front seven, and I think Detroit has an awful defense. So I personally would probably lean Drake here.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Drake. The Lions, according to my fantasy league, I don't know how true this is, but they have the 31st rush offense in the league and the 9th pass defense in the league. So if that tells you anything, I think Kenyon and Kyler could have a big rushing game there. Let's move on to the receiver matchup. We got A.J. Brown at the moment in Peyton's lineup versus Terry McLaurin. If he doesn't go A.J. Brown, I'm guessing I'm going to try to scroll to his bench really quick to see who he's got back there.
CeeDee Lamb and Darius Slayton on the
There
bench.
we go. Okay. So who you guys going there receiver?
I'll go Scary Terry, man. Like I think that guy's so underrated, and he just seems to put up numbers every time he plays in such a terrible team and city. But yeah, I like him there, especially with AJ being questionable. But I don't think either one of them can match Terry's potential. I mean, I think there's an injury in the Giants receiving core, so that may help Slayton this week, but still don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, same thing for me. I like Terry, and I'm pretty sure Cleveland's got a pretty banged up secondary as well. And if with AJ not being 100%, I mean, he didn't play last week, and he's still questionable this week. And I have a couple of fantasy leagues, and I'm monitoring the situation, and he might not play again this week. Like,
Yeah. Or if he does, it'll be like limited.
Yeah, and like I mean, I'm not huge into Seattle. Just lost a safety for the whole. Well, he just got put on IR, so I don't mind CeeDee Lamb, but I would definitely go Terry here.
Yeah, I mean Terry had 10 targets, 7 receptions, 125 receiving yards, and a touchdown against the Cardinals. I think the Browns' pass defense actually might be a little worse, and according to my fantasy league, it's a lot worse in Arizona. I'm going to go Terry McLaurin there too.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got the defensive line. We got JPP for Beesman Park versus Brian Burns, who has been a little slow to start this fantasy season. I shouldn't say super slow, but in terms of, I feel like some of the expectations for myself, his highest game is 20 points against Tampa Bay. I felt like he'd be a little bit more productive than that. But anyways, Brian Burns versus JPP. Who you guys picking there?
JPP, easy.
Yeah, I'm going to pick JPP, but I'm going to say don't be shocked if Brian Burns has a great game. If you actually watch the Panthers games, Brian Burns is probably about 6 inches away from 4 sacks.
Yeah,
But,
he is.
So I'm wondering if he can run Herbert down a couple times, just being a rookie and maybe losing track of everybody on the field. But overall, I'd still have to go with JPP. He's just been a little more consistent so far. And Denver has their own situation going on with Locke being out. So
Yes, that was to me. That's the defining factor there.
yeah, I can totally see it. And Herbert's a little more mobile. Brian Burns can definitely run him down, but he's definitely got a lot more escapability.
Herbert's an athlete. He
Yeah,
kind of
he is.
reminds me a little bit of Josh Allen. Maybe not quite as bullish in terms of like running through people, but I mean he's got some foot speed.
Yeah, he does.
He kind of reminds me of like a Walmart brand Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, with the hair and everything. Yeah, I can see it. Okay, so we've gone so far. Just so everyone knows, we've gone Josh Allen for Peyton, we've gone Kenyon Drake for Peyton, we've got Terry McLaurin for BP, and we've got JPP for Peyton. So right now Peyton's leading this. Next up at linebacker, we got Micah Kaiser versus Devin White. Who you guys taking there?
Devin White.
Okay.
He's just potentially like becoming one of the best linebackers in the league. I know Kaiser went off last week, but I just think White's going to be that consistent guy.
I think White's the better overall player, but I think it's a lot closer than like maybe I would have thought at the beginning of the season, because Micah Kaiser is basically kind of taken on that role of Corey Littleton, and he's done a fine job at that. So, but I'm probably going to go White.
Yeah, I'm going White in this. I don't like Micah Kaiser's matchup. Micah Kaiser's matchup. I like Devin White's matchup a little bit more playing against the Broncos. I feel like with that backup quarterback situation, Devin White may come up with a pick, which would be astronomical if he's able to do that, plus a regular like 10-plus tackles he gets every game. So DB, we've got John Johnson versus Tracy Walker. Who you guys taking there?
I haven't even liked Logan Ryan, honestly, so far this year. I mean, he had a decent game last year. I'm not a corner guy.
John Johnson.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about John Johnson, but that does talk.
Oh, on my screen, I thought you were going next. Tracy Walker lines up with Logan Ryan on my screen. My bad.
No, you're fine. It does on mine, too. For some reason, I just jumped to John Johnson and Tracy Walker. I just did a...
We're doing Tracy Walker or John Johnson. Okay. Oh, well, then I got John Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's John Johnson.
Well, I mean, Tracy Walker had a good game against Chicago, and I feel like he's going to be pretty busy against the Cardinals.
I think John Johnson is just that guy that can create plays. Like, Tracy's consistent, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, like, John Johnson is, I mean, there's a good chance he can get you a pick any time, you know? Like, yeah. He's one of the more consistent, like, safeties out there. He's a top 5 safety coming in the league, and he hasn't done anything to just make me not think he's not. Like,
okay. I'm actually going to go Tracy Walker here for me. I think it's purely the matchup. I just like them. I like him playing against Arizona. I feel like he's going to be very busy, and John Johnson's going to have his handful against the Buffalo Bills too, because their offense is actually explosive this year. But again, I just like Tracy Walker's matchup a little bit more. But since we talked about Logan Ryan, Cody, who do you have here, Logan Ryan or Chuck Clark?
I just like Chuck, man. I'm not a corner guy too much. But I just think Chuck is like the more consistent guy in terms of like he could probably put up 30 each week. And I really like the way Baltimore's defense has been looking. And they're going to be playing a Kansas City team that's probably going to be airing it out quite a bit. And it's probably going to be a high scoring game is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
With Logan Ryan, like, he's going to end up – the only way I think he's going to get points, San Francisco is going to try to run the ball. They don't have a bunch of receivers, so he's going to have to get a lot of its points off of tackles. Where is he even going to be playing? Is he going to be playing a lot in the box, a lot of, like, slot? Like, I just have question marks with how the Giants are using him, and I don't think they're using him in the same way that Tennessee used him.
Okay. Jordan, I don't think I got your Tracy Walker, John Johnson matchup and your Chuck Clark and Logan Ryan matchup.
Well, I'll go John Johnson.
Okay.
And just because of his name, really, it's John Johnson, like we said. But I'll go Chuck Clark in the other matchup. But Cody pretty much touched on everything. The Kansas City offense should be able to stay on the field a while, so he'll be out there. And Logan Ryan, I just don't see much coming his way unless he can grab an interception or something. With between them trying to pound the rock and him not really being the body to cover their multiple tight end sets and stuff like that, it's going to take a turnover, I feel like, for Logan Ryan to make a difference.
Yeah, so based off what we just did, I've got 4 players of the 7 in favor of BP. You guys have 4 players of the 7, in favor of Peyton. Who you guys taking? Are you going to base it off that? I'm going to base off that. I'm going to pick BP in this matchup.
All right. I'll probably roll away from my advantage, I guess,
Yeah.
and go amusement park.
Okay. So
I'm
you're
going
going
to
to
go
Beeson Park?
BP just because I think Jordan's going to Beeson Park. I'm going to go. Wait. Yeah. BP's big for G-Reg, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go BP just based off the fact that, like, I don't know. I feel like the receiver is quite a bit different. I think it's a split really on running back. I had a slight lean towards amusement park, but I could see that going either way. Like, same thing with DN. I think it's a split. Um, I really like Devin White, and I think his secondary is a tad bit better. So I'm going to go BP. I think he's got the overall better team. I think Tannehill is going to have a decent day versus Minnesota. They don't have quite the same pass rush as maybe they thought they were going to have at the beginning of the season. So yeah, I'm going BP here.
Okay. All right. So let's move on very quickly to wrap it up to the other 11 matchups in the league, and we'll just like briefly pick who we're going to take in each one. Let me slide over here real quick. All right. So, first one, we've got primetime players versus Mr. 300. Who you guys taking in that?
I'll go ahead and lead it off, and I'll roll with Mr. 300 Colby on this, and most of it's just because I feel like Daquan doesn't have a running back, and I think it'll bite him. But he's definitely got studs to make up for it. But I'm going to say overall, Colby's team comes out with a little more consistency.
Yeah, I too like Colby's team as well. I like how I would assume Roquan Smith is probably going to be the other guy put in that lineup. Yeah, I like Colby. I like the moves Colby did. Colby gave up some players, but got players that he needed. And at the end of the day, if you really look at it, he gave away one of his best linebackers and then went right around and turned to get one of the better linebackers again to add to that, like double trouble, back to double trouble as linebackers. And then he fixed that running back spot where he had nobody. So, yeah, I like Colby as well.
Okay. I'm picking Colby in this too. All right, next up, we've got the Crazy Legs versus the Third Leg. Who you guys taking in that?
I'm taking Matt. Like, I just think Matt's got a really good team. I think Matt's got solid running backs, good defensive line. His linebacker is solid. Got one of the better safeties so far. That guy's a heat-seeking missile. I'm going Matt.
Yeah, I'll go Matt.
I'm gonna go Charles in the upset. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit here. All right.
All right.
Next up, we got Hashling Slashers versus Hunter of Champions. Who are y'all taking in that?
Look at that. Isn't that funny? They both got the quarterbacks of the game of the week, like Baltimore and Kansas City.
Yeah, it's
So
a pretty good matchup. It's gonna be fun to watch that game, and not just a fantasy game, but that game in particular.
I'm going to go with Mondo on this.
Okay.
And most of it's going to come down to I really don't like David Johnson going against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I feel like Pittsburgh is a top 2 defense in my opinion.
Yep.
But so I'm gonna roll with Mondo, and he'll ride the running back for Pittsburgh. Houston's rush defense isn't very good in my opinion, and he pounded the rock last week even with being questionable all week. So I'm gonna go Mondo.
Yeah, I think Mondo gets in the win column as well, and I think it's a lot based off of matchups. I think it's a wash at quarterback. I do like Jordan said, I don't think Houston's defense looks good at all, like in any like part. Like they've got some good players like at each level, but it's like one good player at each level, and the rest of the players have played subpar. Yeah, I like Mondo to get into the win column here.
And I would think that's a really good matchup for Jabril Peppers as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm picking Mondo in this too. I think this is a get right game for him. He turns that 0-2 losing streak to 1-2 and pulls out the upset against Hunter. Although my fantasy league is picking, I almost said Mafale, Hashling Slashers to win 191 to 187. All right, next I cannot talk tonight. Next matchup, Mufasa Moneymakers versus She's the Man. Who are y'all taking in that? Both 1-1.
Right this second, I'll go. She's the man, Maria. Just mainly based off like Steve doesn't have a lineup fully set yet, and I'm assuming he'll be without Michael Thomas again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll roll with she's the man. Hope for she could get a tad more consistency out of Drew Brees, but she'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm not really liking Drew Brees at the time, but luckily I like pretty much her whole roster outside of Drew Brees, so I'm going to go with Maria.
Yeah, I'm going Maria too. Her linebacking duo is probably one of the best in the league at the moment. All right, next up we got Sunday Fun Day versus Detroit Bad Boys.
Jameson wasn't here to hit the bush on that.
Oh man, did I miss? I feel like I missed someone's sound drop already. Maybe I haven't. No, I don't think I have. I think we're good. Okay, we're good. Yeah. Sorry, I had to go back and look. All right, who you guys taking in this matchup?
What are we on?
Sunday Fun Day versus Detroit Bad Boys.
All right.
It looks like Detroit Bad Boys hasn't fully set his lineup. I think Billy's missing like one player. Oh, he's missing his quarterback. So
It's not even looking
I'm
good,
almost
though.
gonna have to go with. I have to go with Sunday Fun Day just because like he's literally he picked up Devontae Freeman, but I feel like Freeman's gonna be very very limited in this.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
So I could see him getting single digit points out as running back, and that's never a good recipe.
Yeah, I'm with Jordan. I this is probably the only time I'll pick Brandon, but like, but it hurts that he just traded Clyde Edwards-Helaire and then Christian gets hurt, so that wasn't a good thing for him. But it's just injuries and things of that nature just turn me off on Billy.
Brandon has to be careful of the Jimmy Garoppolo situation though, because if he's sitting there without a quarterback to start,
Yeah.
it swings the game back to Billy.
I think it's honestly safer just to go ahead and cut him and go get another quarterback.
I agree.
But yeah, I'm going to pick. I mean, Billy seems banged up right now, but I'm not saying long term it seems to be bad or anything. But this week in particular, I think he's going to feel it, and I think he's going to. I think Brandon's going to get his first career win in the LCC.
I agree.
Yep.
Oh! I got the sound drop for Storm here. Let me go get it real quick. Scroll over. Here we go.
I'm gonna get it all up in your vag.
There we go. So we got Vegetarians, if you couldn't tell, versus Eastside Brawlers in a divisional matchup. Both teams are 1-1. Eastside Brawlers might be 2-0 after the stat change. I'm trying to jinx this as much as possible so it doesn't happen. Who are you guys taking in this game?
I'm in the roll with Storm and say keeps riding Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Storm's had some like really good like luck with some of these players that have turned out. The only thing that bothers me with Storm's team is his linebackers. Bernard McKinney is not exactly a guy that I would want to ride. But
on the other hand, he'll have his games too.
Yeah, he's been admirable in certain situations. But I'm also going to go Storm just based off of, man, if he gets the same production out of Hunt and can continue, then he's going to be nice. Storm's going to have a really good team. I'm going to go with Storm just purely based off the fact that I think Hunt continues to do what he does.
Yeah. What about you, Jordan?
He picked Storm.
You did pick Storm? Okay.
Yeah, he picked Storm first.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually going in an upset here. I'm going Eastside Brawlers. The website's projected them to lose 178 to 168. I think Miles Sanders is the real deal, and he's back in full force. The projected 24 points does not do him justice. I think he's going to do a lot better than that. Blake Martinez, it's a good 30 points per game, and Bradley McDougald, I've always been a big fan of him. I think he'll be all right too. So we got an interesting matchup over here, Jordan. This goes back to year one, baby. This is an original. We got Jordan, who's versus myself, rode by Leprechauns. I really don't like picking my own games. I'm projected to win 183 to 175. Cody, why don't you decide this for us real quick?
Okay. Man, you know what? Deshaun struggled the first 2 weeks. He's faced some really good teams in the first 2 weeks with Kansas City and Baltimore. I think that struggle continues because he literally
Oh
probably
yeah,
faced.
well,
Jordan said top 2 defense. I think it's the top defense, especially after the 49ers took the hit they did. I think they were the only ones that really was comparable. Man, but I like your team outside of that.
I don't like my
I'm
linebackers.
gonna go with you, Pat.
Damn it, I'm jinxed.
Ooh, everybody knows this man.
Oh man. I'm gonna. Should I do what I did last week and like pick Jordan to win? That way, I feel good either way. I'm gonna pick Jordan to win this. Jordan
By 70.
back by 70. Usually, I jinx the other person when I pick him, so I'm gonna pick Jordan to win this one. All right. Next up, we got. This is developing into a very subtle rivalry here.
I'm out. You forgot Jordan's. No, you did hit it. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I did. Yeah. Okay. No, this is developing into a very subtle rivalry, I feel like. Mostly because Cody's just been talking trash off season about him. But we got Steel Curtain versus Slapdicks, Big Ass. Who you guys taking in this? Or Cody, do you want us to pick?
Yeah,
first?
you pick. Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay. So the website's got Slapdicks winning 189 to 177. A big part of that is Russell Wilson's projected 42 points. I think the highest projection, or one of the highest projections for any quarterbacks this week, versus Carson Wentz, he's only projected 31.
Yeah, he's got some good matchups too.
It is tough. It
Yeah,
really is.
It is. I mean,
Because
Zeke is going to outproduce Mark Ingram. We know that. It's going to be a night and day difference. But I think you can say the same with Calvin Ridley and Marvin Jones at this point.
Yeah.
Oof.
And Julio Jones has been questionable this week, so that could affect Ridley's targets or whatnot.
Yeah.
Man, looks like it's going to be a barn burner.
It is going to be a barn burner. You know what? I'll go ahead and make my pick here. I'm going to go with Slapdicks in this matchup. I think a big part of it is because I like Calvin Ridley's matchup and I like Russell's matchup, and Justin Reed is Justin Reed, and I think he'll be pretty solid.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Cody on this and say Carson keeps it close enough with Russell because Cincinnati's defense is pretty ass as well.
Yeah, they are.
And then I'm gonna say Cody's defenders carry. Not that Zeke isn't gonna do work, but Cody's defenders carry him with Deion Jones and Kenneth Murray getting action against Carolina.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I love a lot of his matchups, and I don't love the Calvin Ridley matchup versus Chicago. I mean, I would love the fact that like Julio has been questionable, yes, and that would give Calvin Ridley some looks. But does that force double teams toward Calvin Ridley if Julio doesn't play? Because Calvin Ridley, I just don't know if Calvin Ridley is going to keep up 57 and 50 points. You know what I'm saying? He has to go down. There's no way he continues that. So I'm looking for an off game from Calvin. I think Russell Wilson's going to absolutely dominate Dallas. Dallas defense is hot garbage.
Yeah.
I like Ingram, but based off of like another league that I have Ingram in, he's kind of been relatively quiet outside of that interception. And then
that's a good matchup for him too.
Yeah, it is a good matchup. No, but like I feel like the last 2 weeks have been decent matchups.
Yeah.
For me, I love Levante David, especially versus Denver. I think they got a terrible offensive line. I think he's got a ton of good matchups. I mean, for me personally, I think I have some decent matchups as well. I really like May versus Indy. I like Deion Jones versus Chicago. Personally, I think that's tailor-made for Deion Jones to get a pick. I don't like my receivers. I haven't liked my receiver all year, so like I can understand why people give. Literally, I could probably go up against any team, and my receiver is going to be the worst receiver in the league. Like, I mean, it is, but like, I made it that way, and I personally I think Atlanta's got a fucking trash. Excuse my language, but I think Atlanta's got a trash offensive line.
Yeah,
personally. And I like Robert Quinn to not get as much attention just because Khalil Mack's going to be coming off the other side. So, like, I think he can make some noise. And obviously I'm going to go with myself. I'm going to go with myself every single week.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I thought you were about to pick against yourself for a second.
I'm not you, Pat. Like, I'm with myself.
At least I'll get some solace if I lose. I'm like, I picked him.
Roster.
Yeah. I had to roster bait both rosters. No. Slap Dixon's got a solid roster. I said some like things about his team that I would probably take back now. Like I didn't think Calvin Ridley was going to do what Calvin Ridley's done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he still doesn't have a running back, but if he can get Mark Ingram in the end zone, which it seems like Mark Ingram gets all the goal line carries, that keeps him kind of in that zone. And then he's got arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's going against one of the worst. I really like a lot of what Slap Dixon's got going on.
That's enough of that game.
That's enough of that.
But yeah, we'll pass it on. But I'm sorry if I trash talked your team. Your team's actually pretty good.
You're right. All right, we got 3 more matchups, so try not to take too much time here.
We got 20 minutes on all of them.
We got the Spurs, Cameron, who's looking for his first win against Michael, who is 1-1. Who you guys taking here?
I'll take Cameron. He keeps disappointing me though. I keep picking him and he keeps losing.
Well, he said in the group chat because you weren't there. He said, "Please stop picking me." Is what he said.
He requested for us to stop picking him, so I'm gonna grant him his wish and pick Michael.
Okay.
You're welcome, Cameron.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna pick him just so I hope he loses.
I can respect wishes.
I actually think Cameron has a pretty good shot here of winning this game. I can't wrap my head around starting 2 defensive linemen each and every week, and I've got to give the Cameron the edge just because of that. And he probably doesn't like me saying that, but I'm going to say it anyways. Next up, we got Dirty Mike and the boys. Oh, I don't have a sound drop. Versus Burrow's body count. Who you guys taking there?
I'd like Burrow if he can get Logan Thomas out of that lineup, or Dirty Mike.
Okay.
But if it's how it is now, I guess I would lean Burrow and him hope that they keep letting Joe slinging around the yard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Chris Godwin got cleared from protocol, so he'll be starting. So it will not be Logan Thomas. So I'm going to go Dirty Mike.
Okay, I didn't even see Chris Godwin on the bench.
Yeah, I'm going to go you know what? Up to this moment, I'd pick Mike to win this game. I'm actually going to pick Burrow's body count. Everything I'm reading, Darian Thompson is actually losing snap counts now in Dallas, which is not good because he's been the backbone of his defense so far this season. And I think that might be a deciding factor in this. I'm going to go Burrow's body count this week. Last matchup, and we've got the Latar. I just screw this up because I'm screwing everything up tonight anyways.
Latar Lobos.
Yeah, we got Lavatard Lobos versus Give Me More. Who we going here? The website's got Jameson winning 180 to 175.
Jameson.
Yeah, I agree with the website.
I mean, we all picked Jameson as the last undefeated, who we thought. So I'm not going to go against that.
Jameson, I told him this before the show, and it was like I had killed a puppy or something. I'm actually going to pick Alex in an upset this week. Depending on whether or not, I will say this kind of hinges on the fact that I know he's going to lose Julio Jones, but Alex already has a backup there. But a big part of it is Alexander Johnson. What does he do this week? Is it a lackluster performance, or does he step up again and break 30 points? I think that'll be the deciding factor here.
So is Julio already declared out? Because I have not seen that.
He has not been declared out, but he's kind of banged up, so it makes me just think his role is going to be a little bit limited.
I pick Jameson no matter who he's got.
Yeah, me too. I just think I like Jameson's whole offense and defense.
Cool.
So, yeah, I'm going Jameson. Jameson is who we thought he was.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us for Week 3. We'll see you guys for Week 4. Make sure you get your pick'ems in if you haven't already. and we will see y'all next week.
And a quick rest in peace to Gil Sayers.
Oh, yes. Rest in peace,
Right.
Gil Sayers, the original Christian McCaffrey. Total freak of a scat back in the day.
Are we sure we don't want to go back to my game real quick? Just for
All right, guys. We'll see y'all week 4.
Until next time.